Hi, my frogs. Today we are reading This Side of Paradise, A Mother's Lullaby by Scoregirl on AO3. Sorry if this video is about out of date late. As you saw in my posts, I had some technical issues, but hopefully they're resolved now. This fic has a total of 132,503 words. Sorry for the stuttering. Around 76 chapters total. This is going to be chapter 2. And overall, I think you guys will like it. And at the end of this video, please go to leave comments and kudos on the original fic, which will be linked in the description. But without further ado, let's get into this. Chapter 2, Pinky Promise. Enji had never considered himself the sentimental type. Ambition drove him. Power was a singular focus. But when Ray told him she was pregnant, he had expected anything more from her. Excitement, joy, maybe even a hint of fear. Instead, she stood there in the doorway of their home, pale as ever, her face unreadable. "I'm pregnant," she had said, as if reciting the weather. No smile, no flicker of emotion, and in her steel gray eyes. For a moment, Enji felt a strange hollowness, a discomfort, right at the way that she delivered such significant news. He had nodded, grunted his approval, and returned to his training without another word. He thought that was the end of it. Ray was always distant, cold. That was who she was, fragile and untouchable. But as the days passed, something in Ray began to shift. At first it was subtle. Her gaze, once distant and vacant, seemed to focus more. She started to move differently, with the kind of lightness that had been absent from her before. Her pale, ghost-like presence warmed ever so slightly. When he mentioned the baby in passing, she didn't simply nod and brush it off as she had with most things. Instead, she paused. "What do you think?" she asked one evening over dinner, her voice softer than usual. "About what kind of clothes we should get for the baby." Enji blinked, caught off guard. Ray had never shown interest in such mundane matters. Her tone wasn't indifferent, it was curious, gentle even. And then she smiled, a small fleeting thing, but genuine. He hadn't seen her smile in so long, and it stirred something strange within him. As the weeks passed, her interest grew. Ray began talking more, asking him about all sorts of questions about the baby's future, their room, how they should design the nursery. At first, Enji brushed it off as her excitement, and grew so did his quiet fascination with her transformation. One evening, Ray was folding a small piece of fabric she had prepared for the nursery. She started singing under her breath. It was a soft, barely audible at first, but as he drew nearer, he could make out the strange, lifting, littling melody. Pinky promise, your mother will protect you. I will protect you. I promise you that until you get big and strong. Her voice was light and melodic, almost playful, an entirely foreign sound to Enji's ears. She glanced at him and laughed, her face lighting up in a way that made her seem almost unrecognizable from the woman he had married. She had always been composed, stoic, but now there was warmth. A bubbling, clear, cheerful energy that enchanted him, though he couldn't explain why. "Where did you learn that song?" he asked, half curious, half amused by her sudden lightheartedness. Ray tilted her head, thoughtful for a moment. "I'm not sure," she admitted. Her smile, unwavering. "It just came to me. I suppose it's something a mother would sing to her child." Her songs became a regular part of their evenings. Each night the lyrics would change, but at the core of it remained the same promise, a mother's vow to protect her child. Enji found it endearing, even though the melody itself was strange, otherworldly, like something from a distant memory neither of them could place. As the months wore on, her excitement grew in tandem with her belly. Ray would chat endlessly about baby names, outfit colors, and nursery themes. She would trace fingers across the growing bump and laughed. Actually a laugh when the baby kicked. Enji, who had always seen Ray as something fragile and far away, now found himself drawn onto this newer version of her. She was still delicate, but now there was something more, a lightheartedness to her that enchanted him. And still, she would sing those peculiar songs. Pinky promise, I'll keep you safe forever. protect you. You're my precious one, until you're strong enough to walk alone. Enji found himself lingering in the doorway of the nursery, watching as Ray hummed and swayed, her hands caressing her swollen belly. There was something mesmerizing about the way she moved, as if she were dancing to a rhythm only she could hear. Sometimes he caught a glimpse of something in her eyes, a flash of what? Nostalgia? Longing? It was before he could place it, leaving him more questions than answers. As her due date approached, Ray's demeanor shifted once more, and she became more introspective, often staring off into space with a small, secret smile on her lips. When Enji asked her what she was thinking about, she would simply shake her head and say, "I'm just imagining our future." 9 months passed, and with it, here came the day Enji had been waiting for. Ray's labor was long and grueling, and for a moment he watched her breathe through pain. He saw the icy composure from before return to her face. But there was something else there too, a determination, a fierce protectiveness that had never been seen before. She'd gripped his hand with surprising strength, her gray eyes locking onto his blue ones with an intensity that took his breath away. "We're going to meet our baby," she whispered between contractions, a smile ghosting across her lips, even as sweat beaded on her brow. Hours ticked by. Enji found himself pacing the delivery room, his usual stoic demeanor cracking under the pressure of the moment. And then finally, the cry of her child filled the room. And Ray's features softened again with that familiar return. Their son, Toya, was placed in Ray's arms, and for the first time, Enji saw her eyes shimmer with something close to tears. The baby had a shock of bright red hair, a vivid contrast to Ray's pale coloring, and blue eyes piercing as Enji's own. But it was his smile that caught their attention. As Toya yawned and blinked up at them, his mouth opened, and in a gummy smile that relieved 2 tiny but unmistakable fangs at the front of his upper gum. They were small, barely noticeable unless one looked closely, but they were undeniably there, sharp little points that glinted at the light in the delivery room. Enji stared, his mind reeling. He blinked, and unsure if his eyes were playing tricks on him. "Ray?" he said, his voice low and uncertain. "Enji?" Ray's voice broke the silence. She didn't sound disturbed or alarmed. There was a soft, almost affectionate smile playing on her lips as she looked at the baby's mouth. "What's wrong?" He didn't know what to say. At first, his thought that something was wrong, that this wasn't natural, but Ray, she seemed unfazed, as if the boy's unusual trait didn't surprise her at all. Enji reached out, brushing the boy's cheek with his thumb, his skin cool beneath his touch. "He has fangs," Enji said almost to himself. Ray chuckled along, her fingers tracing along Toya's tiny hand. "Perhaps it's just a sign of strength," she whispered, her voice light and sincere. "Look at him, Enji. He's perfect." And as Enji looked down at his son, he found it too hard to argue. Despite the unusual dental feature, Toya was indeed beautiful. His skin was pale like Ray's, and there was a healthy flush to his cheeks. His little hands were balled into fists as he watched one tiny hand open and closed as if reaching out to him. "Do you want to hold him?" Ray asked, her voice gentle. Enji hesitated for a moment before carefully taking Toya into his arms. The baby felt so small, so fragile, yet there. There was an undeniable strength in the way that he squirmed and cooed. As Toya blinked up at him, Enji was struck by how much the boy's eyes resembled his own, a deep, piercing blue that seemed to hold untold potential. "Hello, Toya," Enji murmured, surprised by the softness in his own voice. "Welcome to the world." As if in response, Toya gave another gummy smile, his fangs glinting once more, and in that moment, Enji felt something shift within him. The fangs were unusual, yes, but they were a part of his son, and his son was perfect. Ray's soft humming drew his attention back to her. She was watching him with a tender expression, her gray eyes filled with a warmth that he had never seen before, as she began to sing her now familiar lullaby. Enji couldn't help but join, and his voice deep in a low counterpart to her melodic tones. Pinky promise, your parents will protect you until you grow up strong. We'll always be here. So that was chapter 2 of This Side of Paradise, A Mother's Lullaby by Scoregirl and AO3. Seriously, guys, go leave comments or kudos on the original fic.